Amanda Lang at the Elevate Tech Fest. She spoke to the CEO of Shopify about the rising trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Take a listen.
I think every country should, including Canada, should continue looking at its taxes, optimize it, but do it evidence-based. I do think that the American tax reform was largely emotion-based and not data science or anything other based than that. And I think they are attempting a very dangerous experiment over there, and I want to caution Canada for doing the same, frankly. So I want to be a bit more careful.
In your own business globally, we've heard also from CEOs lately and experts that the Chinese relationship is still a difficult one,
right,
including the big sticking point right now on trade, which is intellectual property theft. What's your thinking around that and how careful you are about China?
Intellectual property theft is sort of its own topic. It's very complex, very multifaceted. It's both at the same time overblown in some ways and underappreciated in others. I think it's a reality of the globalized economy that everyone has to be very aware of how to deal with IP in general. And we are definitely out of there was a time period where you really didn't have to think a lot about these kind of things, and that's over. But that's not even specific to China. That's actually generally a global kind of thing. And if you talk about the trade war, which kind of presents certainly opportunity for Canada specifically. I think we have this economical situation with an overhang of NAFTA where no one really knows which way that's going to go. And I think it's an opportunity in general for Canada to say, hey, significant percentage of the trade with this country is the United States, and we want to probably diversify that a little bit, look at Asia, look at Europe. We have a free trade agreement with Europe, and I think that may end up being quite good for the economy to have a little bit of a think there.
And that adaptiveness that characterizes your customer base is what you responded to in the first place. How do you constantly respond to that while flying the plane?
Yeah, I mean, this is no different for Shopify, the company itself. Again, we help people, we help merchants sell globally. The global situation, as we just talked about, changes a lot. But it also, we are so used to it even changing on a technology basis. Shopify is best known for helping people with their online stores, which is a big channel, but you also sometimes buy something from Shopify stores when you buy on Amazon, on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere, in stores. All of this is Shopify behind it. The interesting thing is that is very transient. So 5 or 10 years ago, we would have a MySpace, we would have help people sell through MySpace because
right,
that was a big factor. That's no longer a factor. So we are, as technology company in the retail space, very confident with our adaptability because that's really a core value of the business and something we take very seriously. So,
maybe it's a sign of adaptability, but you made a decision around firearms not too long ago. Was that a difficult one to make?
It was a difficult decision. It was kind of an easy decision. It's just a difficult implementation, right? Because the problem is even defining exactly firearms, what firearms are and what are they being used for is surprisingly tricky. Here's what prompted it. It's actually kind of an interesting situation that's probably a little bit underappreciated. We had suddenly a big influx of new stores, not just the United States, but all over the world, of selling something called ghost guns. Mm-hmm. And what ghost guns are is you buy something from a store, you get a package. It contains a couple of pieces which you need to build a gun but aren't defined as being a gun.
Right.
And then a 3D printer and a blueprint to print the missing pieces. And so what you end up getting from this after you plug this all together is you have a gun which has no license, no registration, and is probably the perfect product to use for bad purposes. And we realized that the laws, like every country that banned laws wants to ban these things, but technically they're legal because they're not guns. And so we went ahead of, we took the legal spirit of the laws and said, okay, we don't want products that are clearly designed to harm people, and then we had to ban them. That's what we did.